Hey, everybody. Hey, Mike. It's
Hey,
Mike and
Mike.
Mike in the evening. How you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you doing?
Never better. I mean, what else would I be wanting to do right now than sit here and talk to you about cards?
Well, you're on sabbatical, so from work, so you there's plenty of things I would think that would be better than this.
Uh, we had a rousing family card game this afternoon, which we would not normally be able to do on a Tuesday, but we just sat
Okay.
around the table playing cards, which we've done a lot this month, which has been awesome.
Yeah, we are recording this on a Tuesday. Today is All-Star Tuesday. All-Star game will be played later tonight. This will air Thursday, but All-Star game is later. Are you what is your favorite of the four major sports, the favorite All-Star festivities? What's your favorite one?
Uh, I would have to say the NBA, but I don't really like any of them. I know. I know. They aren't taken seriously by the athletes, and so it's hard for me to take it seriously. But if you exclude the actual All-Star games, then I enjoy the home run derby. I enjoy the dunk contest and the three-point contest, and that's about it.
Our friendship was hanging on the thread already, and now I think you just ripped off the. No, I'm. Last night's home run derby was incredibly lackluster. I was more interested in what was going on in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at the Republican National Convention than I was, that's depressing. If I was more interested in that, and I mean, please tell me you've seen the national anthem that was done at the home run derby.
Yeah, she actually came out and checked herself into rehab today.
She was so drunk. Now it all makes sense. Is how
Yeah,
bad that was. You're
yeah,
like, oh, I get that now. That's a
I know.
shame. Like it's
Yeah,
sad. Um,
it's terrible when somebody needs to come to that realization in front of tens of millions of people.
yes. Well, today I have a topic, Mike. I want to think tank with you a little bit since this is Hobby Think Tank, uh, Hobby's greatest show every week. Uh, Said no one ever, but we're going to do our best to make this a good one. And that's protection. And I'm not talking about former presidents in Pennsylvania, protecting them. That needs to happen too. But protection of cards. The Dallas Card Show theft, which is now a week and a half or so in the rearview mirror. As far as I know, not a lot of movement on the investigation or where things stand. And I don't want to really get into anybody that watches this show knows that happened, knows the details of that. What I want to think tank, Mike, was really inspired over a text or not text, a comment discussion. I'll use that word nicely that I got into with a person who started commenting on a video that I posted on my channel about when I just mentioned it and what I thought. And I want to read these comments to you, and then that'll jumpstart our think tank. Does that sound good to you?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, let me pull this up. Here is my ugly mug. And this was a video. You guys may not be able to read these. I'm going to read them to you. That's fine. But I want to prove these are actual comments on my channel. You can go look at them yourself. This is from a guy named Tim Davis. And I didn't know who Tim Davis was. He's getting called out. I don't care. I have no idea who he is. I looked at his YouTube channel. It was begun in April of 2024. So his channel or this version of his channel is 3 months old. And he starts off the comment with, "What do you think about the Dallas Card Show and the recent theft? There's a lot of negative talk about it. It seems like it's starting to get a bad reputation in the hobby," meaning the Dallas Card Show. To which I replied, "Did you not watch this video? I talked about what I thought." Like he asked me, "What do I think?" I was like, that was what a good few minutes of this video was about. Why? Then I said, "Why is it the show's fault that there was a theft? They have tons of video of it, better than most shows." He replied, "There seems to be an incident every other show. It's like the Wild Wild West down there." Thank God no one got hurt. I sure wouldn't bring my child along to this event. He replied literally like 2 minutes later, no reply, no surprise here. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't sit around just waiting to respond to YouTube comments. I have stuff going on in my life. I don't, he was very quick on the draw to call me out for not replying, yet I was more than eager to reply. I said, sorry, Tim, my day doesn't revolve around responding to comments. To which I responded, now, I think you're making a little more of it. Thefts happen at almost every major card show. It is unfortunate, but it would be silly to blame the show. What are they supposed to do? He says, this show that you speak highly of has issues. The promoter is lucky this crew didn't bring weapons. Unfortunately, there have been crimes where innocent people were killed for a lot less. You don't think it's the responsibility of the promoter to ensure the safety of the attendants? This is not the first issues that have happened at this show. And I responded again, there are armed police officers walking all over that place. That kind of theft can and does happen at all major shows. Why do you have a bug up? What?
And minor shows. My Portland, Maine show with 50 tables, somebody stole I think it was a Larry Bird autograph at a show last year.
Well, I asked him, why do you have a bug up your ass about this show in particular? Because shenanigans continue to happen at this particular show. Didn't you interview the promoter? And I said, yes, years ago. I have talked to Kyle. I've interviewed Kyle. I know Kyle. And that was the end. We didn't keep that going, although I don't know where it was going that would have been anything productive. So let me throw out what Tim was asking. First of all, would you take your kid to the Dallas Card Show?
Absolutely. So I kind of land closer to you, but I disagree with you slightly on something there.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything negative about the card show, and I'm all over hobby Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. Nobody is saying, wow, this card show has a real problem that I've seen. But I do agree with him to an extent that the organizers of the show have a responsibility to make sure that it's as safe as possible. Now, with that being said, I don't think anybody would ever could have anticipated this kind of organized theft happening at a regional card show after the show ends. It's pretty outrageous. It's like an art heist.
You've been to the Dallas show or no?
No.
Okay.
I missed it by a week or two when I was down there earlier this year.
That's right. But you have been to a national and stuff like that.
Yep.
The Dallas card, I know Kyle, and I'm not going to get this perfect, but I'm going to, based on my recollection, there are several, maybe even up to half a dozen armed off-duty police officers that Kyle has hired as, I'll use this word security in air quotes. They're there in case shenanigans happen or whatever. Now we are in Texas, so I can't even imagine how many guys are walking around there packing. I mean, it's certainly a large number. Although I can't remember if that hotel. So, there's a federal regulation there's, you can make a building where you can't bring a gun into a church, a school. There are certain places. That's not true about churches, actually. If you want to find the most armed people, go to a church in Texas. Everybody's packing. But that you can you can't go to a bar with a gun. There are certain places you can't walk into with a gun, even in Texas. And so I don't think that hotel, they have signage. I've never taken a gun there, and I have my license to carry. Although concealed carry is now a constitutional thing here, you can constitutional carry here, which means everybody can carry if you want here with or without a license. Was there anyone, so are there people walking around that card show? If it's allowed, I can't remember if it is. Absolutely, there will be people armed at that show, regardless if this stuff happens or not. Now, does that make it more dangerous? potentially, if you're a thief or you're trying to do something negative. Again, there's cops walking around there. In the Dallas Card Show, they have these. If you think about Walmart, right, and during Christmas time, they have those police. I don't know what they are, like cranes, essentially, with cameras and stuff, right? Same thing at the Dallas Card Show. Those are all those. That's why there's so much good video of this theft
Right.
out there, because Kyle has basically the entire floor show covered with cameras at these different strategic locations where he has these basically little pillars with cameras all over them, kind of eyes in the sky, so he's done that. He's got off-duty police officers walking around in uniform.
I was just going to ask if they're off duty, if they are in uniform.
Absolutely.
And I wonder if they left when the card show ended. And I know these thefts, or the theft, happened after the show ended. Were those police officers still there at that time?
Yeah, I don't. Great question that I don't know the answer to. Again, this still happened. So it's this weird time. It's not like the room was cleared out and locked. There were still dealers milling about, finishing their day. That's the scene that I saw in the video that I watched. So does Kyle, or any promoter for that matter, it's not just Kyle, want there to be everyone to be safe? Of course. I mean, are there kids running all over that place? Yes. I bet if I asked every father there, are they comfortable having their child there? They'd say, of course. What's going to happen? Stuff can happen anywhere. So it's not, it wouldn't be any more dangerous or less dangerous than taking your kids to a park or to a ball game, or right. It's an event where if someone has a bad motive to do something, that can happen in anywhere. Yep. Right. So what else could Kyle have done? Or any show, like what else can show promoters? Again, I keep singling out Kyle, and this isn't even about Kyle. It's just about shows in general. What can they do?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about AirTags. You're familiar with an AirTag?
Absolutely.
I think they're Apple exclusive, but I don't know if Google has one. So maybe the promoter can either rent out AirTags and the service to the AirTags to dealers, or sell them at a cheaper price, or have some sort of a deal for them, and help the dealers use them, put them into each of your cases of cards, hidden so that a thief isn't able to just open it up and take it out and then throw it. I think AirTags could be something, but then how about just placing those police officers outside of or inside of the doors after the show, and anybody leaving those doors after the show ends with a box of cards needs to show their ID that they were the dealer or something like that.
That becomes this is a think tank, right? So all
disagree with me. It's fine.
No, I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm just thinking of the cumbersomeness of that, and how, it's kind of like, it's sad that, take TSA, right? I remember flying prior to 9/11.
Right.
A lot of young people don't. It was a very different world. Was there still security? Absolutely. Was it like it is now? No. It was more, I would say it was more akin to what it's like if you have TSA pre-check. That was pre 9/11 versus the strip searching, what you might have to do otherwise.
You get strip searched?
I think it's usually female TSA officers. I don't know why they pull me aside usually. Maybe my good looks. I don't know. There's all this, that works for them. I don't. No, it's like we need to take it to an extreme where we have to punish the 99.999% of people that are not doing anything wrong, right?
Is it a punishment though to just say, "Hey, I'm leaving, and here's my ID."
You can give your ID. That doesn't mean those are your cards that you're carrying out.
Okay, but couldn't they have some sort of a system that says, "Here are the cards I brought in, and here are the cards I'm taking out"?
Well, what if you're a buyer? And I know you're talking about only after the show ends, but
Yep.
that theft could have just as easily happened, or maybe a little more difficult. But you could let's think about it. Now somebody's going to figure out, okay, now I'm going to do this when there's a lot more people around, and it's a lot harder to identify who it was. Or they're going to be at a normal show. Guys can, 5-finger discount a card out of a case, slip it into their pocket during the show hours, and be gone and take a Mantle 52 tops or whatever. So,
Yeah, and then sure, I'm with
right.
you.
And they can walk out the door and they're like, why do I have to show you an ID? I just bought this card. I don't get a receipt ever at a show for buying a card. And if it was like the Sam's checkout line or Costco checkout line where I have to show a receipt for every card I bought, now you have to, you see what I mean? You can add
Yeah,
enough
I'm not
layers
suggesting that.
where it becomes like, look, you just kind of, I don't know if it's okay. And again, I'm just spitballing because this is Hobby Think Tank. Is there just some loss that's just acceptable? Like you're going to get something there's going to be some shoplifting. Stores write that into their profits, and they just,
Sure.
we're going to lose, 5% of our inventory every year or whatever, and people just 5-finger discounting things. And as a show dealer, I would hate that if that was the mentality. But it might have to. I mean, think about it. The Nationals next week, right? Thefts happen every year at the National.
Yep, and I
Some
think,
more
like you
public than
said,
others, right?
you expect some of those. One car being stolen is almost expected. It's certainly not okay, and I'm not saying it
Right.
is. And also, we should point out we're not blaming Ash or the card show for this. Is obviously the fault of the thieves. I don't want
Correct.
anybody to say, "Why are you blaming these guys?" It's fault of the thieves, but we're just trying to say, what could we do? What could be done?
Yeah,
So yeah,
100%. There's the only blame falls on the 3 or 4 or 5 guys, however many were in on this. This is them making a decision to do something bad.
yep.
Um,
So I think one card being stolen is almost accepted by dealers. You would kind of accept that you might have a card stolen occasionally, but it's when you have a case with $2+ million worth of cards that's pretty outrageous and disheartening.
it is. So to me, and again, this isn't a blame thing, but if I'm a big dealer like Ash, who is a great guy, by the way,
Yep,
uh, I know him. I've
very
sold cards to
reputable.
him. I've bought cards from him. He is a great guy. If certainly not only him, but this is going to, I think, what happens is something like this has to happen to shake everybody out of their doldrums, out of their complacency, right? And so, what I think it's going to do is create a sense of awareness, heightened sense of vigilance on their part, potentially even hiring. If I'm Ash, I have a guy standing there, an armed guy, private security guy that looks like, the Hulk, standing there all the time. And your only job is to watch. Our job is to sell to people and interact with people. Your job is to sit there and watch these tables, right? And you pay a person for the weekend to do that. If you're Ash, with as much inventory as he has, and the value of all of that, to me, paying somebody $500 for the weekend to do that seems like a bargain.
For 2 days, you talking?
The whole show, however long the show is, however
Yeah,
much that would cost. I don't know how much that would cost. Whatever it is, $1,000, still worth it. You know.
yeah.
Um, so are you going to see? If you're a guy that has a table full of dollar cards, like our buddy Chris Sewell does, he's probably not going to hire private security. He's like, yeah,
Right.
you want to steal a few dollar cards, you want to be dishonest, I'll accept that possibility that you're going to do that. I'd rather you not steal my cards, but right. But if you have I think there is a level of your inventory where that starts making sense, right? To have your own security guy focused on your tables, focused on your inventory, keeping everything safe. Um, I think there's also that with something else that, there was that easy access into the back of the booth, right?
Right. The guy was pretending when he was setting up chairs or breaking down chairs afterwards, pretending to be an employee there, and then he waited for his 3 co-conspirators
Conspirators. Yeah.
to
So
distract
maybe
the
you
guy.
make it harder to get behind the table, right? And that
Yeah.
seems like an easy thing to do.
Yep.
Uh, like that would be something you'd put a barrier to make it where that doesn't mean they still couldn't move XYZ barrier or crawl under the table. The guy could have done a lot of things but that might have been the type of activity that would have, hey, wait a second, what's going on over there?
Yep.
So those are little things that I think, because I think the responsibility for securing your own cards rests with you first and foremost. Secondly, with the promoter. Like I think there's division of responsibility here,
Yep.
and I don't know what percentage it would be one way or another, but there's definitely a divided responsibility to some degree. The promoter says, look, we got all this stuff. Here's our cameras. Here's our security guys. Here's, I mean, you go to shows, these guys come in, you come in the next day, all these cards are just in it looks like a body bag, right? They call them body bags, right?
Right.
All their
Yep.
cases are stacked in body bags and they're padlocked and zipped up. And
But couldn't somebody cut into those pretty easily?
right, that's my point. I mean, like, yeah, you've added a inconvenience for a determined thief.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible to overcome.
It's like the old saying, locks only keep out honest people.
Right. Exactly. This is the old, if somebody wants it bad enough, they're going to get it.
Yep.
Right.
If there's enough money in that body bag,
right,
somebody will go for it.
I do think the mystery of although you could case the show, right, and be like, ooh, tonight I'm going to, now at night, I know they lock up, there's security guys that walk around there all night during the show. But again, this was I think, perfect window of time between public closing and dealers all clearing out where it was kind of they chose a very interesting time.
Yep.
Right, to do it. So I guess my question to you then is the next thing, who is it incumbent upon to protect the inventory of each deal?
Well, it's incumbent upon yourself, the dealer, but a good show organizer should have some services to offer as well, to services to provide, and maybe to offer at an additional cost. Some things that automatically come with your purchase of the table, and then for an additional cost, you can have the private security that we provide or something like that, that I think would be an interesting thing for promoters to explore.
By the way, the Apple Tag thing is a great idea. I mean, I have Apple Air tags on my dogs, on my vehicles, in my Polaris, which is a 4-wheel drive at my ranch. Things that can get stolen. I have those hidden in my dogs. They're not hidden; they're just on their collar. But if my dog runs away, I can find my dog. They're very convenient, very cheap. Like a 4-pack's like $25 or something,
Yep.
I think, if I remember
Yep.
right. So it's an inexpensive security solution that you can pull up on your phone. The issue is how long till you notice, right? I don't even know the story really. I haven't reached out to Ash because I don't think I have that good a relationship where I can just do that. And he's probably fielding thousands of texts and calls over this last period of time.
Yep.
But maybe once this, I think on the back end, I'm going to reach out to him to be to interview him and talk to him about this entire process and what that was like. I'd be fascinated to hear his firsthand perspective of all the things he had to deal with insurance and, what did Kyle do? What did you do? What did the police do? What did, You know, how did this all tell me that, like, a sequence of events, how this all went down? How fast did you identify that that case was missing? Because if it's an hour later, 30 minutes later, they could be in their car. And if AirTags become a thing, the thieves are going to, you know, you can only stay so far ahead of the criminals, right? They're going to go, all right, rip all the cards out, rip the foam out, move the cards to another case
Right.
instantly, and leave this one in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, but shoot, I had a point I was going to make. Oh, and was the case locked? And why, if he doesn't have his $2 million case locked, why not?
Fair enough. At least if it's locked, you know, they can't get in it instantly to switch the cards to another case
Right.
or to.
And I don't have a Zion case, and I assume it was something like a Zion case. Do those have locks? Can you buy those with good locks on them? Yeah. Then
They're combinate. I guess with a screw, you know, anything you can get in with enough if you get good at it, you know.
yeah.
If it had one of those little flip locks, you know, with the little combo on the front that you dial in, give me a screwdriver, I'll be in that thing in 2 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying yes, AirTags. At some point they'll outthink that, and then what do you do? And so there's got to be solutions. And we have the biggest show ever coming up next week at the National. I hope that Joe Drellick and associates, you know, make sure. Obviously, they want people to be safe. They want people to have a good time. They want dealers to be happy. They want attendees to be happy. What are they going to do? I haven't heard them say anything. I haven't heard anything from the National about reassuring the public, reassuring dealers. I know a lot of dealers that are setting up. I think if there was some memo sent to them, hey, in light of what happened in Dallas, here's the heightened security measures we are taking.
It would leak. We would see it.
Right. We would know that that's gone out to dealers and, oh, cool, look what they're doing. And that would actually be good for them if it leaked, because we would all be praising them for the additional resources that they're providing to dealers. You know, at least, you know, I haven't heard anything from Kyle or from the Dallas Card Show people about this theft either. I've heard about as much from Kyle as I've heard from the Secret Service about last Saturday. So, which is to say nothing. So you can see that I got a burr in my saddle about that. But we haven't heard from Kyle, and we should. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to get ahead of this from a marketing / public relations standpoint. The guy mentioned in those comments all the shenanigans, all the things that happened at the Dallas show. And I'm trying hard to remember what other shenanigans have happened at the Dallas show, you know?
I probably wouldn't know well, but I haven't heard anything.
I'm sure there have been thefts there. I'm sure. Yeah, there have been. I remember there were guys that were caught stealing cards and were caught. Like, the guy came back the next day to sell or something. Remember that?
Vaguely.
Surely. Yeah. So I'm going to really butcher the story, but the guy who stole some cards and came back the next day, and they knew who they were looking for, and they found him and arrested him. But that's the only thing that comes to mind that happened at the Dallas show in terms of all the shenanigans. It's a shame when things, again, these types of incidences that happen, if one happens, it's too many, right? We all agree with that. But how many transactions happen at a show? How much money is exchanged at a show? It's honestly, it's kind of one of those things, like, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. I mean, if you think about the National, how much money is it? How much cash is in the room between dealers and attendees at the National any given day?
Many millions of dollars.
Many million, maybe $10 million.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's more. If somebody told me more, I would buy it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my first time going to the national, I had like, I don't know, $1,000 in cash, and I was really nervous about carrying that much cash. And then I saw some guy pull out a huge wad of tens of thousands of dollars, and I was like, okay, I'm fine.
They're probably not coming after my $1,000, right? And what I tell people if you're an attendee that's a great point though, when we think about just protection overall and protecting ourselves, protecting, when you're walking around a show, keep your money in a secure place where you know where it is, where you can check on it every once in a while. Usually, like a front pocket, keep your wallet in your front pocket. Those types of just common sense things that you'd want to do if you were going to Disneyland too, right? This isn't
Yeah.
exclusive to card shows. It's just being smart.
John Mangini released a video, I think yesterday, where he had some really unique self-protection tips for people.
Okay. So there you go. You can go watch some of that. But you just got to it's awareness of the situation, Don't get complacent. Don't be, again, I'm not blaming Ash, but the guys were busy doing other things. This was a coordinated attack, right, on that booth, on Ash's booth. And so maybe it's, hey, look, you got three guys, two guys are engaged in conversations. The third guy is like, hey, I can't talk to you right now. I need to be paying attention to what's going on. No offense. I'll talk to you in a minute. Once they're done with one of their conversations, I'm happy to help you. Right.
Yep.
One set of eyeballs is always on this, just on a swivel. The other guys can engage.
Standing at the cards that are packed up. Yeah.
Right. So I do think things will change. I think this is the jolt to the hobby, this large of a theft, that if it was only a couple of cards, I don't know that it would be the jolt to the hobby that this is. It's again sad that it has to happen to anyone for this to happen. It's like, well, we only change things when something really bad happens, and then we decide. And what's sad is if nothing happens bad for a while, guess what?
It goes back to the way it was before.
It'll be back to where it was before, and it'll happen again. We're like, oh, how did we not learn from this?
Yeah. Because people think that nothing will happen. They forget that nothing is happening because of the precautions that they're taking.
Right. They're thinking there's no one else wants to steal cards. It's no big deal. But the fact that it doesn't happen even more often, given the amount of money in both inventory, and then if you add in the inventory along with just the cash in the room, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in the national in the show floor. Especially if you include the auction house stuff, and we just had the theft of the auction house stuff in Strongsville, right?
Yep.
Right. That was $2 million. How come that's interesting? Seems to be hey, if it's not 2 million, I'm not going to bother,
Not worth my time.
$1 million, nah, I'm not going to get out of bed for that. The old Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Did you ever see Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn looks at his phone. I'm not getting out of bed for less than, and it pings. Like, okay, I'll do it. I'll steal it. So yeah, there's a lot that can be done. We're over our time. Any final thoughts?
Can't wait for the national.
You coming to the event?
YouTube get together. That's the whole reason I go to the national now.
It's not for cards, what?
Yeah, I'm excited about the cards, but being able to meet all of the YouTubers and the commenters and the viewers is a great opportunity.
Well, Tim Davis, if you watch this, you're welcome to come to the YouTube get together. Everyone is invited. If you're hearing this video, if you're watching this video, you are invited. It's the Thursday night of the National at the American Legion on Sheldon Road. You can just Google that and you'll find it. It is not far at all from the IX Center. And Thursday night, 6 o'clock, right after the show, we'll have pizza and cash bar and a good time. So I'm glad you're going to be there. Mike will be signing autographs. I think your window is from 7 to 7:30, I think.
7 to 7:05.
Okay.
I agreed to. Yeah. I'm too important for the other. Yeah.
Hey, we paid you a lot of money for that signing, and you're giving us 5 minutes? What?
Yep.
No. We'll all be there. We'll love to say hi to you and talk to you, and we appreciate anybody that comes. So that's it for this week's Hobby Think Tank. Are we done?
I think we are.
Please tell us down below what you think. Again, we're spitball. We're literally doing this kind of just off the cuff. So if you have ideas or you think we're crazy, please put it down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you next week at the National if you're going.
Bye all.